Greetings, YouTube. It's the Brain Damage Gamer here, and I wanted to talk about a little bit of news I'd heard today. No, it's been a while since I posted, so I figured I'd ease back into posting on the channel a bit with a little bit of news. So currently in the EU, there's been this huge debate as to the legality of loot boxes, or as certain companies like to call them, surprise mechanics, and whether or not they should be allowed, and how close are they to actually gambling. I mean, me personally, I've always considered it a form of gambling. It's pretty much just a slot machine. You put in X amount of dollars, real or fake, and out comes your prize, whatever that may be. It could be a skin, it could be a player, depending on whatever the game is. It's quite literally very similar to gambling. Now, whether or not it's legal is a debate that a lot of the lawmakers are currently having, trying to make up their minds on whether or not it's going to be or it's not. The EU wants to do that. The UK has been kind of fighting with it. It's kind of gone back and forth. All of that said, right now, the current problem that a lot of people are talking about is Grand Theft Auto 5. Because Rockstar, in the middle of all this controversy, said, hey, you know what? We keep hearing gambling said a lot. You know what? Why don't we just add direct gambling to Grand Theft Auto 5? So they did. They actually put a casino with slot machines and blackjack. And, I mean, it's Grand Theft Auto 5 outside. There's probably ladies of the evening as well, so Bender would be proud. But they put it directly into the game. They said, let's cut out the middleman and just put straight gambling into the game. As a result, almost 60 countries almost, around the world have banned their DLC for this game. I don't really know where the thought process went that they came up with this, that they said, hey, you know what, this is a good idea. Let's in the middle of all this controversy, just drop this out and see what happens. I mean, it's certainly a bold move if you look at it from that aspect. They're quite literally throwing their stuff on the table and saying, hey, look, this is gambling. It's direct gambling. What are you going to do about it? And I mean, some countries have already banned it, obviously, but it's definitely one way of dealing with the problem, I guess. And here's the one argument I always have against people who say that loot boxes aren't gambling. Because right now, the reason that the UK didn't outright outlaw what is currently going on with, like as an example, FIFA, the reason that they didn't is because they say that there's no direct monetary value for the things you can win. Now, here's my argument for that. EA in particular has sold skins for a direct monetary value. They've had games where you could literally say, hey, I'm going to spend $2, $3, whatever the game's cost was, and get this specific skin. Or in other games, you've been able to unlock specific playable characters. These are things that have monetary value because they're selling them to you at this cost. Now, if they are on the flip side, then giving you loot boxes, in-game currency, or however else you're paying for it, and you can randomly gamble and open it and get a skin, they've already proven that a skin has a monetary value. They've even given it a dollar value themselves multiple times. You can't say that there is no monetary value associated with the loot box when it contains items you've directly sold to customers in the past. Yes, you can't resell it, but if you win a car at a casino, because there are places that you can win a car if you play the right game and win against all odds, you could win a vehicle. The difference is you could then sell that vehicle. Now, you're not a car dealership, so you're not selling it as a car dealership. So pretending like, well, you can just immediately sell it as if you're a car dealership. That's not what normal people are able to do. Yes, sometimes they have loopholes in their prizes systems where you can get the car to be sold through them, but that's neither here nor there in this particular case. It's showing that the common person wouldn't be able to immediately sell it. It's the same for skins. a common person couldn't sell a skin that they win in a game, but they could eventually do it if they went through a third-party seller and went through all the hoops of doing so. So, yes, that system is secondary and does exist, but the concept's pretty close in translation, in my opinion. Now, whether or not this is going to cause more problems for Rockstar, I don't know, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few months. Moving on to the second item I had wanted to cover. Apparently, Mechwarriror 5 is now going to be an Epic Store exclusive. And the developer, apparently in their infinite wisdom, knew about this months and months ago and has lied and or hid this information repeatedly from the people that they are expecting to help back the game and get the game off the ground. Now, this was sort of crowdfunded. It wasn't at the same time. They basically opened up a pre-order and asked us to help get the game going, generate enough interest to basically get working on it properly. They'd been pitching it back and forth ever since Mechwarriror Online started to kind of decay as far as people that were playing it, which is ironic because the Mechwarriror and Battletech fandom is a very old, very established fandom. They're one of those fandoms that knows what they like, and they've been looking for good content for that particular little genre for a very long time. There's not a whole lot of giant stompy robot games anymore, and in personal opinion, I think the world's much worse for that. I, full disclosure, had pre-ordered this game. I don't usually pre-order. I don't usually get in on that. There's been very, very few games I've either pre-ordered or went ahead and done like a Kickstarter on. For the most part, I've been fortunate that most of mine have turned out well. This game did not. I've already put in a request for my refund. I'm waiting on a response back if they ever will get back with me. I've heard some people complain that they're starting to slow down because everyone's trying to refund the pre-orders. Now, do they really care about that? Yes and no, because on the one hand, they're losing the people who would actually play the game, and on the other hand, they're still looking at that huge wad of money that Epic just threw at them and said, you can use this to deal with being sad. So, I mean, I understand where they're coming from. They wanted that money, and that's what they wanted, but the way that they've gone about this is quite literally one of the scummiest things I've ever heard of. When all of this initially started to happen is because initially Russ Bullock had said that there was no way that the FAQ had been updated in such a way to indicate that, oh, well, we're going Epic exclusive. It's still all the same. We're not announcing anything. Well, he had already known for months that they were in process of working out a deal with Epic to make their game exclusive. And on Twitter, he said that it wasn't going to happen, and no one would know even now. They were planning on delaying this information until November when they were going to have the first beta. They were basically hoping that people would be so happy to play the beta that they would get over the fact that it was an Epic exclusive. The only reason that we know about this now is because the web team accidentally changed the website to reflect the correct FAQ, showing, hey, we went Epic exclusive. Please don't be too upset. And he spent the better part of an AMA, and I'm using quotes for that because the AMA was very scripted questions that they only wanted to specifically answer. They did not do a live AMA because, holy crap, the things they would have had to have answered would not have been pretty. But they did this kind of weak AMA where they kind of jumped and dodged around the issue, and they said the same line. Epic has got to be feeding these lines to developers and publishers because they say the same thing. We feel that our game will be best represented on the Epic Store and we'll get the best coverage for the most number of people. It's almost always the exact same wording every single time one of these exclusives happens. And the only thing I can think is that Epic has a little script that whenever people start getting upset because you're stabbing them in the back, say these things. And so these developers just kind of come out and parrot those things. But this is not a good move for MechWarrior 5. The people that purchased it were expecting Steam. Again, it's been a betrayal of what our expectations are. Again, Epic has decided that we can't make a better platform. We're just going to try to shoehorn our way into the market. And I've heard plenty of people try to make the argument, well, Steam made you get Steam back in the day. There was no competitor to Steam back in the day. Valve was the first company to make anything like Steam ever for gaming. And yes, initially it was kind of weird that you had to use it in order to get Half-Life 2, but at the same time, there was no other store like it. And since then, at no point in time has Valve chased down a developer and said, don't put your game on any other platform besides ours. So every time somebody makes that argument, it's a load of crap. Now, would I be upset if Epic was legitimately competing with Valve? No. If they were willing to go toe-to-toe and say, hey, this game is going to be on our platform and it's also going to be on Steam. You should buy it on ours because the developers get a better cut, and that's quite literally the only reason to, because everything else that we could offer you as a feature, Steam has, and they have better, but still we're giving the developers more money. And that's what Tim Sweeney keeps trying to preach is, well, we give developers more money. That's great. I'm glad the developers get more money. You know what would also be great? If you were doing that on a platform that had full features. If you didn't have ties to Tencent, who owns almost half of your company. You got to keep them just shy of that, obviously. But they're a scummy company. The things that they do in cooperation with the Chinese government to get people's personal information is horrible. And I'm not saying Epic does that. What I'm saying is you're working with a horrible company. If you don't want that negative press, don't work with a horrible company. It's pretty straightforward. And beyond all of that, you have such an inferior platform. The only reason that you're getting all of this money is because of your Fortnite money. I'll tell you right now, Fortnite players are not MechWarrior players. You're not going to be able to get the volume of people playing MechWarrior 5 that you were hoping to get if you'd put it on Steam first. What you're doing right now is you're encouraging people to sail the high seas for this. They're going to be going Captain Jack Sparrow for it and attempting to be seeking alternate ways of getting this game now is what's going to happen. Because even if you have this released and it's working as well as intended, the Epic Store is horrible for friends lists. And one of the big pushes for MechWarrior 5 was the fact you could play it co-op. And if your co-op doesn't work because the friend system's horrible on Epic, then you're removing one of the major reasons to play the game. Meaning that people are going to go and say, well, screw it, I'll just play single player since I can't play multiplayer. And while I'm at it, why am I paying Epic for this when they've already ripped everyone else off? But anyway, folks, these are just a couple of the thoughts that I'd had when I'd heard these two different news bits. Some of them are newer than others. I know that the MechWarrior news is pretty recent, but the ongoing casino and gambling in the UK has been a running gag that apparently nobody seems to find the punchline for, myself included. But anyway, I would like to thank everyone for watching. If you like the video, feel free to hit like. If you want to comment down below, feel free to do so. Tell me what you think about this stuff. And has any of this changed your mind about what you are and are not going to be spending your time and money on? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I am the Brain Damaged Gamer. Thanks again for watching. Game on.